trying to backtrack. And you should have kept my name out your mouth. As we go, how it all turned out.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine Thursday already? Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, okay. So this is the one and only day this week that Diddy doesn't have a conference slash hearing, whatever, to go and show up for at the courthouse. Right now, today's the only day he doesn't have to do that. Tomorrow he will be back in court. Yesterday was Wednesday, and they just they finally finished after 3 days of doing the selection process. The two sides and the judge narrowed down the jury to I think it was like about 350 people. I saw different numbers being thrown around. Some people were saying that they were picking from like 150. Some people were saying that they were choosing from up to 600. Some folks were saying 300. I do think it was somewhere between 300 and 400 because we do have juror numbers that are being referenced and referred to as like juror number 300, whatever, 303 or whatever. So it does appear that they had at least 3. It does appear that they at least had at least 300 different people in this jury pool to pick from. Thanks so much, Jedi Mind Trick. Hi, BJ. Doing such a great job. We are so thankful for you. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Shout out to the mods in the chat, putting in overtime. Shout out to Diamond Rainbow. Okay, so I thought we could take this day to catch up on all the stuff that's happening because stuff is happening. Okay, the most recent filing, I have it up right here, so I'll just share it because it's the most convenient. We'll just start here. Here it is. This is the most recent filing. It's just a simple order from the judge today, May 8th, 2025. The court is going to hold a hearing tomorrow, May 9th, 9 a.m. And so tomorrow, I do think I'm going to be coming on a little bit earlier than I have been the rest of this week because I think it's going to go fast this time. So we'll see. I don't think it's going to be like waiting 5 minutes between each one again because they really don't have to argue about this. From what I understand, I don't exactly know. I've never actually observed it, but from what I've learned and from what I remember, I don't think they have like all of this argue back and forth, like trying to get the judge to strike a potential or a prospective juror for cause, which is like this person is like not available, unable, this person would be unbiased, this person would be too biased, etc. Those are all like different category of reasons. This is called the for cause, to strike a juror for a cause. But there's also the ability to strike a juror for other reasons, like you just like feel like it, you got a psychic vision from the mothership or something. Diddy gets 10 of those. And the government gets, I haven't written my notes. We can go over it a little bit more later when we're going through like I actually took some notes and put them on a list. So to make sure that we don't forget anything, because I really want this to kind of be like a live stream that you can go back and reference and remember like what exactly is up for debate, what exactly is going on. I do have a whole section about Jonathan ODDI. We're going to talk about Jonathan ODDI today too. So don't go anywhere if you want to talk about him, because I have started to go back and rewatch that interrogation, y'all, and it is chilling. It is bone chilling. Okay, so I have a section about that. I'm not done watching the interrogation. I had to come jump on this live here. But there was stuff getting filed, and I did want to keep y'all updated so that there's not some huge surprises, because I know it's very confusing. I even kind of fall victim to it a little bit, where it's like you'll see a YouTube title, you'll see an article, you'll see a tabloid title be saying something, and it's like, what? That happened? Then you're trying to figure out, did it happen? Did it not? And it's like, it's not even always like necessarily somebody's trying to be deceiving or something. It's like maybe they just misunderstood or something. So I understand it's like very confusing. All this stuff is happening. So I needed to come on here. So I didn't have a chance to finish the Audie thing. But look, the judge says tomorrow come back for the peremptory strikes. These are the ones where you really don't have to have like a for cause reason. It also says if the parties have any remaining issues that need to be resolved before the trial starts, which is Monday, they should try their best to raise them by today, right now, at the time of the recording of this video, at the time of this live stream, today at 2 p.m. So right now it's 1:06 p.m. So the judge is saying by 54 minutes from right now, he put this order in today. He's like, hi, official order. I'm putting it in here. Come to court tomorrow. But also, if you want me to talk about anything else other than these peremptory strikes, can you please get it into the court filing system by 2:00 p.m. today so I can actually have time to read it? And it is getting kind of like pretty serious because it's like there's really not any more time. It starts Monday. Who's excited? Okay. So that's one thing that happened. Let's move on to the next thing. I got my notes. I'm just trying to pull them up. Nope. Okay. All right. So what we just looked at was docket number 324. Let's go back a couple docket numbers just to remind you where we are, what the most recent filings were. Docket number 320, so like 4 or 5 docket numbers ago. So 4 or 5 filings ago. Nicole Westmoreland, an attorney, she came onto Diddy's defense team. I think that brings his total defense lawyers up to 8. I don't know. It's a lot. The next docket number down was 321. This is an order that the judge gave. We looked at it a few times yesterday on the day 3 jury selection live stream, but that was the order where it was like the judge was like, I'm not going to decide on this stuff because it's moot. Because, you know, among other things, the government no longer wishes to present this certain evidence. Maybe it was related somehow to victim 3. The next docket filing was 322. And this was where the feds had asked. Actually, I'll pull this one up. This one's kind of funny. This one is the Mark Garagos document. Remember, I mean, I did make a video about it, and I've mentioned, I think I made 2 videos about it. I've mentioned it a few times. This is already been spoken about, but now we have it on paper and we have the judge making an order on it. Okay, this was also filed today, and it's something we've already seen, except this right here. Oh, sorry, this part right here, the blue color font. If you're colorblind with the blue, sorry, it's like this part right here. I'm zoomed in on. The court addressed this issue already, right? So this we're gonna read through the note again, even though, like I said, we did already do this. We're not gonna do it like verbatim. But look, the court addressed this issue already on the record this week and reminds all the parties and Mr. Garagos, it's like, you too, Mr. Garagos, don't try to slip out of here like you're not a party. Yes, you. Of their obligations under Rule 23.1. The clerk of court is respectfully directed to terminate the motion at 319. And this was the motion at 319. It feels like it was filed a lifetime ago, but it was just on Tuesday, or maybe it was Monday. It said, you know, remember, the government respectfully writes following the first day of jury selection in the above captioned matter. During the course of jury selection, despite the presence of 7 defense attorneys who have filed notices of appearance in this case, and despite there also being a jury consultant present, y'all remember this is ringing a bell, the defense team appeared to consult with Mark Garagos, that's Diddy's team, and other members of the Garagos and Garagos law firm, and they were present in court. Mr. Garagos and his firm have a long-standing relationship with the defendant. Neither he nor any member of his firm have filed a notice of appearance in this case. Nevertheless, given Mr. Garagos' apparent role as an advisor to Diddy and the defense team, the feds are like, we respectfully request the court remind Mr. Garagos and the members of his firm of their obligation under the ethical rules and all of that, all the local rules and all that. They're not supposed to be talking about stuff. The need for the court's admonishment is necessary, given that as recently as 3 days ago, Mr. Garagos spoke at length about the trial in this case in his podcast called Two Angry Men. And then remember, they brought in that teeny Garagos, who is Mark Garagos' daughter. She has also a few months ago gone on to the Two Angry Men podcast. Again, this might be deja vu to some of y'all. I just want to kind of mark in time where we are here. So this is where the government, the feds, they were asking for the court to admonish in some way, provide some type of consequence to Mark Garagos for this activity. And he kind of did. I mean, it wasn't really a consequence. It was just the judge saying like, okay, can you follow your, ethical rules and stuff now, please? Thank you. So that was docket number 322. The next one was docket number 323. And this was a very similar order, but on the other side. So remember before the feds even ever asked for admonishments, that just happened this week during jury selection. Like that happened after the first day of jury selection, on Monday. Garagos is in court. He's talking to the defense team. He's jury advising and stuff. He's never filed a notice of appearance to be on this case. So the feds are like, can you have him stop squawking his jaw, flapping his jaw on Two Angry Men? Before the feds ever even asked that, which is what we just looked at, docket 322, Diddy had asked something very similar on his side of things and from his perspective. What Diddy had asked for was for the court to put in place an additional gag order on Lisa Bloom, who is Dawn Richards' lawyer, and an additional gag order on Douglas Wigdor. Is that his first name? Douglas Wigdor. That is Cassie's lawyer. So Cassie is pretty much uniformly and unanimously expected to testify at trial. She is suspected to be the pseudonym of victim one, the CNN tapes, etc., etc. So her lawyer is Douglas Wigdor. All right. Diddy wanted an extra gag order against Douglas Wigdor. They filed for this asking for it in April. I believe it was April 28th, if my memory serves. I mean, I could just bring the document up so you don't have to take my word for it. I mean, why take my word for it when I have the document just right here? Let me show you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here we go. This is that document I was just now describing. And it's the same thing as earlier where, see, it's dated as of April, or it's dated April 28th, 2025. They had asked for this a couple weeks ago. The judge says the court addressed this motion at the conference on May 1st, 2025. I think this was the final pre-trial conference before the jury questionnaire thing. Yeah, I think so. It was on a Thursday, last Thursday. The court said it also advised all the lawyers to submit authorities supporting the requested relief. Okay, so, hey, Diddy, you want me to gag somebody? You want me to tell Lisa Bloom she can't talk about a case she's working on? Okay, show me where I have the authority to do that. It appears the judge is saying Diddy never did such a thing. It says no such authorities were supplied. If any additional concerns arise, either party can make a tailored request. Okay, so if anything happens in the future, again, somebody's squawking, somebody's flapping their jaw, we got the Two Angry Men going off into left field again. The judge is like, let me know, but give me specifics of where it happened and make a tailored request specific to that incident. The clerk of court can go ahead and terminate the motion at 299. Okay, so that is one of the other new filings that I wanted to share with y'all. It was filed today. What else? Okay. So technically speaking, that document 323, technically speaking, it was the judge denying an order. But the reasons he denied the order is because number one, judges can't just like go out and just like decide what to do every day, each and every day, like willy-nilly based on their own what they decide. They have to have this like precedent. They have to have case law. They have to have, what is it? Stare decisis or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember. They have to have that where they have to say, like, who's ever done this before? You asked me to do something brand new. Show me where, the Supreme Court did this, show me something. And then nobody ever did that. So it's like, okay, well, denied. Okay. But if you have another issue, bring it back up to my attention. This isn't, with prejudice forever. You can bring it back up. Okay, what else? So that brings us to tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the final day of jury selection. At least that is what is expected. The jury pool, if you're just joining, hi, hello, we're talking about what to expect tomorrow. It is going to be, like I said, it's supposed to be the last day of jury selection. And then on Monday, so tomorrow will be Friday. The weekend will go by. Then it will be Monday. Okay. And then Monday, it's all going to break loose. Okay. I'll be here bright and early. We'll be talking about it. Maybe we'll even get here even early and sit outside the courtroom on the camera. I mean, sitting in my house right here, not outside the courtroom, but, watching it. But I've been kind of snooping around in articles and things and consulting with the internet and such about what to expect tomorrow on the last day of jury selection. Because see, it's in a very like specific point in jury selection where like I'm not even exactly sure how this works. I'm not sure I ever even learned exactly how this works. Maybe I did, girl, I don't remember. But I think I have a good idea of what to expect tomorrow, but don't quote me on this. That's my whole point. Disclaimer, I'm not an expert. But what I think is going to happen and what I've been able to research and look into and what's expected is it's going to be the final conference or like hearing before the opening statements. Those are on Monday. The primary reason for this conference tomorrow, it's kind of this similar thing to a hearing. Everyone's going to be there in court. Diddy will most likely be there. I also learned too, maybe we can read some articles later, but I also learned too that Diddy has, according to reports, okay, I don't know, I wasn't there, but that Diddy has been actually participating in this whole thing and like passing notes up to the lawyers and smiling at jurors. I'll try to find the articles that said that, but that's not what I'm trying to get off into those weeds right now. Y'all can bring it back up later when I'm like, oh yeah, what was that thing? I'm just telling you what to expect tomorrow, okay? That is going to be, yes, the main purpose for the thing tomorrow is peremptory strikes. And again, like I said earlier, I know we did just have a few new people joining, but the main purpose for tomorrow is the peremptory strikes. But the judge did say, and we did look at that order, it was the first document we looked at, 324. The judge did say peremptory strikes and any other issues. So if y'all are going to have any other issues, bring them up tomorrow, but you need to tell me before 2:00 today. And that's going to be, in about 40 minutes. They have 40 minutes to get their concerns into the judge. So what's this peremptory strike process? Well, they're expected to take the pre-existing right now 45-person jury pool. We just went through 3 days, live streamed each and every day. And I was reading the live tweets from inside the courtroom, but they have narrowed down, it seems to be about maybe 320 or 50 or so people, down to a pool of 45 people. The people that are remaining, these 45 people, they have survived several rounds that other people could not have survived, okay? Like having a bias, having a job that won't let you off, having to go pick up your kids, having certain relationships with certain people in the cases, having certain relationships with certain industries, having certain relationships with certain employers, jobs. People have been kicked out of this jury pool by the hundreds, and it's been narrowed down to 45 people. Now, the most recent round, somebody had described it kind of like playoffs, like a bracket, like round, I don't know. Somebody had described it like playoffs, and they're like, okay, they just got to the next round, but they're not like in yet. I could see how that could be a helpful thing if that helps y'all to think of it a little bit like that way, just to understand this process. So the most recent round that happened was these 3-day jury selection questionnaire process called voir dire. During this process, from what I could tell from reading the live tweets from inside the courtroom, there was two primary distributions of time during the day. Two big chunks of time got spent doing two different big things during the day. One was bringing in these prospective jurors one by one by one and asking them questions about how they answered on a questionnaire. And then also one by one, you're asking them questions about a list of people, places, maybe events, stuff like that, companies. The jurors had to answer questions about those places. Like, do you recognize them? Did you work there? Do you have any relationship? So that was one half of the day, was like bringing people in one by one. I shouldn't say half, but like one component. And then the next portion was like they would bring them all back in at the end of the day, like toward the afternoon, and ask group questions about the demographics of these people and stuff like that. And all the while, they're like every single round, every single day, they're kicking people out, get out of here. All of a sudden, people that used to be able to have the English proficiency, all of a sudden they're like, actually, I don't. People that said they could get off work, actually they can't, but in the same, on the same vein and in the same way, other people were saying, well, I have a scheduled trip, but I could probably get out, or I have, to go testify before the Judiciary Committee, but they'd probably understand. You know, that was the for cause section. Okay. So doing all those things, we've now narrowed it down to the 45 people. Now, so from the 45, they got to get it even further, obviously, down, because how many people are on a jury? Traditionally, in this type of criminal, federal criminal case, it's going to be 12. But they don't only want to just have 12, because what if somebody has a stroke during the middle of it? What if somebody, I don't know, who knows? What could happen? Somebody might just run with somebody, might not feel like being a juror no more, than run away. What if somebody, anything could happen? I won't wish anything bad on anybody. I hope nothing happens and befalls to people, but you wouldn't want the whole entire trial to fall apart and be a mistrial because something did unfortunately happen to one of the jurors, right? So they have to think about this as something. What's the backup plan? We have to have somebody on the, on deck. These are called alternates, juror alternates. They are, from what I understand, I'm trying to get an expert on here, soon, to answer some of these questions that I'm not 100% sure about. But from what I understand, these alternates are like in court every single day. It's kind of like an understudy in theater or actor or whatever. They're in court every single day. They're sitting there as if they're jurors, but they're not officially on the jury until or unless they might never be on the jury. But until or unless something happens to make one of the jurors on the real jury unable to serve. I think sometimes this kind of stuff could even be if they lied or misrepresented something very material about their background. Maybe they hid something. Maybe they lied about something. I think that would apply there too, and they would get kicked off. I don't know what would happen to somebody in a case like this. They might be criminal. You do say this stuff under penalty of perjury. So I don't know. I'm not saying anybody did do that, but they do, they plan this. So they got to take this pool of 45. They got to narrow it down to 12 plus 6. So 18 total, but the 12 jurors. So the process goes like the attorneys for each side are going to take a turn. This is going to happen tomorrow starting around 9 a.m. I will be up on here probably by 9:15. I might be up here at 9. I don't know. Maybe like 9:15. I just really hate sitting here and not knowing what to do and not knowing what to say. I'm just like refreshing. I feel like it's boring. Anyway, so what's going to happen? This is going to happen tomorrow. The attorney's going to take turns on each side. I'm not sure who goes first, but each side has, goes back and forth to strike jurors who they don't like. So, or not don't like, but who they want out of the jury pool. Like, cause there's going to be certain people they're like, I don't want them in here. Like, for example, maybe the guy from the UN or the lady, I don't know. I keep saying guy. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't remember the gender, but there's a person who works at the UN. I want them out. If I'm the defendant, even if I'm the feds, get them out of here. What are they doing in here? Get them out of here. So I would just be like, get them out of here. I wouldn't want to explain myself. Just like something feels off about that. So they get to go back and forth to doing that. The process, I guess Diddy would probably go first because the prosecutors have 6. The prosecutors have 6 peremptory strikes, and Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs gets 10. Until they seat 12 jurors. Okay, both sides have 3 strikes for the alternates. Once finalized, they're going to come back on Monday. They're going to be sworn in. They're going to sit down in the box, and they're going to be sitting there for 2 months. yeah, so they're just going to go back and forth, back and forth. Now, here's something that I anticipate. Here's something that I expect could happen. Be aware tomorrow we may get there and it may not be 45 people on that jury. Excuse me. Of course, there's not going to be 45 on the jury. There might not be 45 people show up. That could be for a number of reasons. We've seen in the past, earlier this week, that Diddy and the Fed side had agreed not to have these two certain jurors come back. Like they agreed, they're like, we don't want them, and then they just didn't show back up. So maybe they'll be able to do that. Maybe they'll do that again, agreeing that certain jurors don't come back. That could minimize, that could reduce the amount of jurors in the jury pool. Also, some people might get what the judge has described described as, quote, cold feet. They might just chicken out. They might all of a sudden realize they don't have the English proficiency. They might all of a sudden realize they got to go pick their kid up every day. All of a sudden get a new job. It's something, and some of these will be actually real reasons, but this isn't what I would describe as like cold feet reasons. That is another separate, I think, possible factor that could result in there being fewer than 45 people coming to show up on the jury pool tomorrow. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe 38 people. I wouldn't be surprised to see if it went lower than 30. I might be surprised because some of these people seemed very excited to be on the jury as well. They were kind of like, I can make it work. Okay, so yeah, okay, so then once they come back on Monday, the jurors will be sworn in, as will the other parties, and there's going to be opening statements. Each side is going to present a version of their theory of the case and version of events to the jury. This is like the quintessential lawyering you would see in TV. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a case about consent and coercion. Whatever they're going to say. Ask ChatGPT. That would be a fun exercise. Just somebody go ask ChatGPT, like, do a mock opening statement for Mark Agnifilo. That would be funny. Anyway, so Mark won't most likely go first. Again, y'all, trial procedure and stuff. Whoo, girl, I don't remember. It was like the height of COVID. I don't even remember. But I think that the government goes first because they present their case, and then the defense comes up, and you hear stuff coming from the defense. It's like, oh, that rebuts that or whatever. Because ultimately, remember, everybody, Diddy doesn't bear the burden in this case because a criminal defendant doesn't bear the burden in the United States of America under our system of jurisprudence. Do you know who bears the burden? It's the government. It's the feds. It's the state. It's the people in charge. These things were put into place to ideally, hopefully, I'm not saying it always gets used this way. I'm not saying it even primarily does. I'm not saying that, but the reason it was put into place that way is so that the government can't just decide you're just breaking a law, put you not, it's just not fair. There's a certain procedures of fairness and certain things you should just not have to do in the American jurisprudence, juris system. It is the presumption of innocence until you're proven guilty, and the government has the burden, the state has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond not just, oh, it's more likely than not, but I can't, every juror has to think, I have no doubt left in my mind. This person did exactly the criminal code statute that they're accused of. Not, is this person a bad guy? Not, is this person a POS? Not, did this person assault or batter? The answer can be yes. But the question is, does the government overcome the state? And in any case, it could be the state, it could be a local town, it could be a municipality. The state has to, the authority figure has to clear certain hurdles, and they have to prove their case. So for that reason, you have to expect the whole trial, to be viewed through that lens in the context of, look what happened to Harvey Weinstein just recently. He did not go through the federal court. Okay, it's a different thing, and the state system is very different, but his case was overturned because of these constitutional issues. So I think in this case, we're really going to see a lot of this push back and forth between this particular notion. Now, with that being said, After the opening statements are done, the prosecutor, I read this on like Seattle Times or something. Let me pull up the document, but let me just tell y'all first. According to this article I read, the prosecutors indicated that they plan to put 2 witnesses on the stand after opening statements. So on Monday, we can expect to hear briefly from 2 witnesses. Now, depending on how long those witnesses take and depending on how long Monday the opening statements take, I don't know how long, I don't know the local rules, how long we can expect the opening statements to last. I know that in some trials about business contract disputes and stuff, the opening statement can be more than an hour. So just on one side. So I don't know. I'll have to look into that. So I couldn't really speak to that. But if there's time on Monday, we could hear as early from this witness on Monday, as early as Monday, from this 3rd witness. And listen, breaking news, you heard it here first. They are expecting to put 2 witnesses, the feds, 2 witnesses on the stand Monday, but it's going to be brief. That's how they're going to have time to do 2 opening statements and 2 witnesses. However, the 3rd witness they're going to bring up is supposedly expected to take the rest of the week, or quote, most of the rest of the week. Let me pull up the source so y'all don't have to take my word for it. Okay. Don't take my word for it. I'll show you. Is this it? Yeah. What do we have in here? How many people are in this chat? 1,300. Shout out to y'all. Okay. Rabbit, shout out to Rabbit in the chat. Shout out to Christy. Oh my gosh, Mod Party, Down the Rabbit Hole News, Oklahoma Outlaw. I know I saw Diamond Rainbow earlier. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Wendy. Where's the members in the chat? Where's the members? I don't even see any of y'all in here. I was going to do shout outs. Okay, so we're on this article. This is where I saw that thing, what she said about the 3rd witness. Let me show y'all. Witness. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Once finalized, the jury will be sworn in on Monday ahead of opening statements. Okay, following those opening statements, Monday. Okay, this is Monday. Okay, we still got a whole court date tomorrow. It's a conference. The jury pool right now, as we said, as far as the public knows, is at 45. I'm not anticipating all 45 are going to hold up. Actually, the reason they put a day off in between the jury selection, the reason we don't have court today to talk about, is specifically because also both of the parties and maybe even kind of the judge are anticipating that some of these people are going to drop out. They're going to get cold feet. They're not going to show back up again. Okay. So tomorrow we're going to see how many are left after the 45. But then let's say there's 40 left, whatever. Both sides are going to take their turns striking. Exercising peremptory strikes. That means they're getting rid of people they don't like. They're getting rid of people if they rubbed them the wrong way. Maybe they called Sister Cleo. Maybe they called their psychic and said, which one we got to. I mean, I would literally not be, I would be more surprised. I would be more surprised if nobody called any psychics on this case. I would be more surprised, actually. Anyway, they got to do all of that. And each time they're going to cut a juror until they get down to 18. Now, there's a whole lot that goes into this process. Actually, excuse me, until they get down to 12. And then I think they're going to select. I'm not exactly sure how it goes. Maybe it gets down to 18. And then for the alternates, they say, I don't know. We'll see. It'll be live. We're going to do it live tomorrow. But Monday's going to roll around. Then it's opening statements time. I think the feds goes first, does their case. Then Diddy's lawyers get up. I expect it's going to be Agnifilo. But Diddy does have, it might be Steele. That might be why they just brought Brian Steele onto this case. It could be actually Nicole Westmoreland. It could be Xavier Donaldson. Put in the chat. I actually want to do a poll or something. I want to know who y'all think is the most likely. Who's the most Teeny Garagos? Who's the most for some reason, Alexandra Shapiro, lest you forget, let me forget about her. I think Agnifilo is the most likely to get up and say this. I don't know why I feel like he's the most likely, Because I do believe Diddy did just bring on 3 new lawyers specifically because trial, like actual trial. I believe, I have no real like evidence. This is my belief. I believe the reason that Diddy did not have Brian Steele on his legal team, nor did he have Xavier Donaldson nor Nicole Westmoreland until very recently is because also it's coinciding with the start of trial. So because I think he brought them in for trial, I've seen speculation about Nicole Westmoreland. She's works with Brian Steele. She worked with him in the past on the YSL Young Thug trial that just wrapped up. I think it just wrapped up, right? Following the opening statements, the prosecutors indicated they plan to put 2 okay, so they're gonna do their opening statements. I don't know who's gonna do it for whose side. On the feds, I expect it's gonna be Maureen Comey, right? Or would it be like the main DA? I don't know who it'll be, probably Comey. But then after that, they're gonna bring 2 witnesses up on the stand. It's gonna be brief witnesses, and then we're going to hear from a 3rd witness, possibly not till Tuesday. It doesn't really seem like they're trying to put that 3rd witness up on Monday. It seems like maybe they're going to wait till Tuesday for that 3rd witness, but the 3rd witness is going to be on the stand. They said expected to take, quote, most of the rest of the week. Now, who is this witness? Is it going to be a doctor? Is it going to be Cassie? I think that's the first person that came to my mind. The government, she's been being referred to as the star witness. Who would these first 2 be? Would it be maybe the experts? Would it be maybe Dr. Don Hughes talking about coercion control? I don't know. It will be very interesting data to gather, to say the very least. Thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat, Shadow Woman. Love this channel. Thanks so much for that. What else do we have going on over here? Annie T, welcome to membership. Shout out to you. I don't think it is right that Diddy can be interacting whatsoever toward the jury pool. What is that all about? Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Jamie A, I don't know. I think he's allowed to smile at him, but it's like, reminds me of the time that there was the pretrial hearing and he was blowing kisses to the gallery. Thank you for that $5 super chat yet again. That's really helping y'all. I need all the help I can get. If you feel so inclined, the legal fund is linked down below. I need all the help I can get. I really don't want to get into too much details at the moment, but please, y'all, if you're feeling so inclined, if you're finding any of this useful, helpful, don't hesitate to donate to the legal fund. You can get yourself some merch. ThatSurpriseWitness.com. You can share the videos far and wide. Thanks so much thank you, Leslie Murray, for the $9.99. Thank you so much for the $9.99 super sticker. It really does mean a lot. I'm really, really grateful. Thank y'all. Thank you. His mom was there. The kisses were for her. Yes. I know, JL. I know that he wasn't blowing kisses to the jury. Nobody. I wasn't saying that. But if anybody did take it as that, I was not saying that. Okay, so Darcy Diamond said Xavier and Nicole will stay on team for Monday. Yeah, I know they're going to be on the team. I know they're on the team. They just showed up. They just got on the team. They're going to stay for a while. What's up, Brandon? Hello. Anyone like to donate to the legal fund? Yes. Thank you, Oklahoma. It's linked below. 100% goes straight into a separate bank account. It's not my own personal bank account for my own personal bills and stuff. It's only the legal fund bank account. Okay. If you want to go straight there, I think GoFundMe takes like 1% or something. Thanks so much, Kel on Earth, for the 149 super sticker. Thank you so much. Let me pull up my notes. What else is next here? Oh, I do have this whole Jonathan ODDI outline. Type ODDI in the chat if y'all want me to talk about that. Okay, I'm not done though. I need to talk about some other stuff first, I think. Oh no, that's the next section. Y'all ready to switch to Jonathan ODDI? Let me check the Artist Fleetwood. Yeah, y'all tell me some of your answers. I want to hear y'all's theories. I believe the 3rd witness will be. Okay, y'all are saying ODDI. Okay, fine. That's enough ODDIs. We'll talk about it. Actually, keep saying it. It helps the engagement. Keep saying it. Thank you. Okay. Artist said, I believe the 3rd witness will be Cassie because she will need to testify before any doctors do to explain why she stayed so long. See, Artist, I was thinking the opposite. What makes you think? Because I'm thinking the doctor says it first to prime the jury. So when they hear Cassie didn't leave, they're already thinking, oh, but the doctor said, versus sitting there making their mind. Because the first impression is the strongest impression, right? First impression is the strongest impression. It's hard to say that fast. Thanks so much for the super chats coming through. Leverage. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I plan to go. Are you going to live tweet it? Are you going to stream it? Do you got any channels? You got any, where can we see? Because I'm going to be sitting right here in this desk with snacks. I'm going to sit right here in this desk with snacks and hydration and reading. I want to be switching through people that are there. I want to be switching through live feeds because I don't like doing that refreshing thing. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I plan to go next week to check out the trial. Do you have any idea how easy / difficult it is to get into the courtroom? I don't. I was actually wondering the same because I was going to see if, like, I don't know, I could like call in a favor for a friend or something who's like, to just go into the court that one day and report from the court. But then it's like, I don't want to send somebody over there if they're not even going to be able to get in, because I did go to celebrity court hearings before, but it was all mostly conservatorship stuff, like Brittany and Amanda Bynes, BAM stuff. And it was different. I've never been to the Southern District of New York, I don't think. Not the federal courthouse to my memory. Maybe. I don't remember ever going. Are these huge crowds? The first day might be, because even Mace was talking on like his podcast the other day about he might go. So is this going to turn into like a red card? That's why I'm not going, for the record. When I heard Mace, because I was thinking like maybe I'll just report like from the court house the first day, because I live pretty close to New York. I could maybe even take like a bus, so I wouldn't have to worry about driving or parking. A train, excuse me. Oh my God, not a bus, a train into and then it's like, but then once I get there, like, is it going to be I don't know what it's going to be like. So it's good questions you're asking. I don't know the answer. Do you need to camp out the night before? I bet you if you tweet at or go and support, Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee, he could give you some insight. I mean, he's there every day. Thanks so much for that $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Shokaidam. God, do not know how to say your name. So sorry. Thank you for the €119. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A red carpet event at the Diddy trial. Seriously. I'm like, no, I don't want to go be around Mace and company. Okay. So y'all were saying ODDI. So, we have some Jonathan ODDI developments. Namely, just yesterday, May 7th, 2025, Jonathan ODDI, a current accused criminal, man, where do you even start with this one? If you don't know who he is at all, he is a person who is credibly accused of bringing a pew-pew to a Trump branded resort. And he like took a flag down off of a flagpole outside, brought it inside, interacted with a few people, asking people where stuff was, had this flag in his hand, American flag, brought it to the front desk. He has this pew-pew. He starts firing it off. It's the chandelier. Oh my God. So the cops end up eventually showing up. They take him to jail. This was 2018. This happened. Long time ago. The man is still in jail. He's still in holding. He's still in jail. He hasn't had his trial. And for several hearings, shout out to, I think it's Peanut on Twitter. Shout out to, I got a couple friends on Twitter over there. I'm blanking on names right now. And shout out to my friends on Twitter, because there's a few people on Twitter that's following this very closely, go to every hearing. It's on Zoom. And so I have been to a few of these Zoom hearings for Jonathan ODDI. I've made videos about them on both of my channels, ThatSurpriseWitness and BJ Investigates. And every single hearing that I personally have Zoomed into, it's Jonathan ODDI is supposed to be doing some type of something, and then it gets kicked down the road. That's pretty much the pattern. There's different reasons, there's different configurations, but essentially it just gets moved. It just gets pushed off. Now, recently, the reasons for it getting pushed off have become a lot more and more interesting and complex. Like when I first started zooming into these court hearings, and they'll have them every like month or two, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 4. They'll have them every month or so, and they're like check-ins. But then recently I went to, so when I started going to them, Jonathan ODDI didn't even, There's a camera. The camera's on the judge. The lawyers appear to be zoomed in to the hearings as well. So some of the lawyers don't even turn their cameras on. So you can't see them. It's just voices. I've been to a few, so I'm just doing broad strokes here. I'm not saying, these is all exclusive every time, but the first one I went to, it was every single one has been kicked down the road, right? But the first one I went to, I'm not exactly sure what maybe it was a plea deal or something. It was like he was supposed to do a plea. Well, he's there, and then it was kind of weird. They keep coming back around to him. The lawyer wasn't there. It's just kind of like snafus each time. But I never laid eyes on Jonathan ODDI. And there was also kind of some theories going around back and forth on both sides, on all sides, saying Jonathan ODDI's not even in custody anymore. There's quote, conspiracy theories, which I put that in quotes, and I do use that with a grain of salt because, ironically, even talking about Jonathan ODDI or his allegations he made in this 2018 interrogation video just a few years ago, you would have been called a quote conspiracy theorist. Okay. But I'm not sure the credibility of all these different theories. Okay. I'm not espousing the theories myself, but I've just seen different, all walks of theory. Okay. On the Jonathan ODDI thing, or is it ODDI? I don't know how to say his name. But generally like with English, if it's double consonants between two vowels, it's ODDI. Yeah, if it's a vowel before a double consonant makes the vowel have a short sound usually, but I don't know if it's I don't know if it's an English last name. So that's why I pronounce it ODDI. But anyway, so this guy, Jonathan ODDI, it's 2018, goes into the hotel. As you know, he's still awaiting trial. It hasn't happened yet. The most recent thing that happened from my memory, I'm not following it extremely closely, but from the last time I looked into the matter, the most recent update on the Jonathan ODDI status of where his case stands is that they were waiting for some type of transcript from some type of transcriber, I don't know. Then there was indication that he was going to plead guilty by reason of insanity, NRI, not guilty by reason of insanity. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get to walk free. I think there's been such a good push for the reason of insanity. People think if you get not guilty by reason of insanity, that you get to just walk around free. No. Oftentimes, it's way worse because you get put in some type of mental hospital asylum, but it's like a state run one, and you don't have a sentence. You don't have a due date to get out, and they might keep you in there for the rest of your life. You don't know. Okay. So it's not always better. They can drug you. It's a lot of stuff can happen. Okay. So just because someone's going to get quote, not guilty by reason of insanity, it doesn't mean they're going to walk around free and be eating at Applebee's 2 for $22 tonight. Okay. They probably go into the asylum, and it's going to maybe even be just as bad, if not worse than jail. Okay. So recently, yesterday, well, I guess we should do the interrogation. So I briefly mentioned the interrogation. But there was this interrogation in 2018, okay, and it had to do with that incident. In the interrogation, he was wearing a hospital gown. Now, a lot of people have said he was wearing a mental hospital gown. It was a mental hospital gown, and it could have been, very well could have been. But he was also pew-pewed in the leg, okay? He had to get medical hospital attention, and so did some officer, I think, after the incident. It was there was casings, plural, it was a real incident. He committed if he did what is described, which innocent until proven guilty, but if he did it, that appears to me to be a crime. Okay. A very serious one. Now he did this interrogation. He met with the cops. He was very calm. He seemed pretty lucid and in his right mind, but some of the things he was saying, and especially at the time, just seemed outlandish. It seemed outlandish and outrageous. And I'll just read to y'all some of the things that I found interesting and of note. Now, I am going to go through and do a whole, I guess a sort of reaction-esque, but the issue with that particular interrogation video is a lot of the stuff that he says is against the TOS of the site we're on. And so in order to be respectful to that, I'm just trying not to play some of these things. If you know what I mean. Yeah. So yeah, yesterday Yesterday, some news broke in this case. That's what I'm talking about right now. Most of y'all probably already know. But yesterday, there was an update in the Jonathan Oddie case wherein his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, ex-romantic partner of some sort, she came forward presenting to Daily Mail what appeared to be a settlement agreement or some type of NDA, some type of document, which had Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs' signature on it. Allegedly, apparently, this is a contract of some sort between Diddy, Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs, and Jonathan Oddie, based on, some allegations about this man said he was a SEX slave for Diddy and Cassie. He told this to the police. He said a bunch of stuff to the police. But again, like I said, I went back and watched this video and I'm like a little bit through. So, no, I mean, I don't know why you're saying, can he not claim, like you asking me, like I'm about to ask him. Why don't you go ask him? I think he's claiming what he believes. Now, what he believes true or not, that's your guess as good as mine. That's up for the courts to decide. That's up for the jury to decide. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, he made a lot of allegations, and we'll go through a more thorough, analysis of those, I think, or not more thorough, but like a more actually less thorough analysis of those at a later date. But I do want to share with y'all some of the things I found to be interesting in this Jonathan Oddie revisit, the rewatch. Okay. So one thing is very interesting. He says he was born in Africa. Now, he says this in the context of telling the cop that he's not racist, because this man, I don't know what his race is. He doesn't say. Some of the eyewitnesses on the scene described him as a tan white man. Some of the eyewitnesses on the screen described him as a light-skinned black man. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't ask him his race, but he said he was born in Africa, and he did this to hold disclaimer because he was saying that Diddy was in a boule. He's like, so how do I know all this? And the cop's like, yeah, how do you know all this? And this is the guy that's playing like the nice cop. You know, the Reed method where it'll be like good cop, bad cop, nice cop, mean cop, whatever. So it's like the nice cop is like kind of acting like he believes all this stuff, and he may, or he may not. We'll never know. But he's like, yeah, Diddy, how do I know all this? Well, because Sean Combs. And then the cop's like, Puff Daddy. And then Jonathan Oddie's like, yeah, him. Well, that's how I know. He's in the boule. Again, y'all, up until like yesterday, even talking about this is like very conspiratorial, but like now apparently things are coming out that's like, wait, some of this stuff's actually getting proven that was previously conspiracy. So now what? Now what you gonna do? I'm not saying any of this really happened, y'all. I'm just telling you what I saw in the reportings of the news. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe let's look at some 2018 contemporary reporting. Okay, this I thought would be fun to walk down memory lane. 6 years ago, we're going to look at Jonathan Oddie, how they were reporting it. All right, this is how they were reporting it at the time 6 years ago. Same publication, Daily Mail. I got to do the reader view. I cannot deal. Look at the title alone. Armed corn actor. And Melania superfan, who was president in 2018. Joe Biden, right? No, it was Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Oh my God, it's been so long since 2018. Donald Trump was president, and then he had been president for 2 years. Biden would become president, and then now Donald Trump the president again. And I feel like I'm in a time loop. Armed corn actor and Melania superfan. So saying Melania superfan at the time would have been kind of like an insult, who stormed Trump resort and opened fire, is booked in a Florida jail in his hospital gown. The Miami stripper and corn actor, who was pew-pew by police after storming President Donald Trump's Miami area golf resort, armed with a gun last week, has been moved from a hospital to a Florida jail. The jail records show 42-year-old Jonathan Oddie, a South African national living in Doral. Okay, so he is a South African national. Isn't that where Elon Musk is from? Living in Doral, was booked just before 7 p.m. on Sunday while still wearing what appeared to be a hospital gown. They didn't even give him his clothes back. Police say ODDI barged into the lobby of the Trump National Golf Club early Friday carrying an American flag and shouting about the president. Booked in his gown, Jonathan ODDI is pictured wearing a hospital gown in his mugshot that was taken on Sunday. He was pew-pew by police on Friday after storming Trump. We already read that. And he went to court. This is him right here. And let's watch a little bit of like how the judge. I like this judge actually. She's been in other high profile stuff before. I like her. And I know why she's doing what she's doing, but it does show you how, like, you know, he was being received by people, including maybe the judge.
As far as and I don't think I didn't see necessarily the alarm pushing, but that might I did push alarm.
It's not specifically mentioned here, although. Okay. You know, sir, everything's being recorded, just so you know. If you want to speak, it's fine.
And look, he's trying to talk.
Probably a wise move. All right.
Oh, shoot.
You know, sir, everything's being recorded, just so you know. If you want to speak, it's fine. I'm happy to listen. Your attorney turned the microphone off, though. Probably a wise move. All right. As to count one, I'm going to.
Okay, so you see what I mean? She's like kind of smiling. She's like kind of like tee kiki, like, if you want to speak, you can go ahead. Your attorney turned the microphone off, though. Probably a wise move. And it's like, who knows what he was trying to say? Because again, I'm gonna go over some of the things I found to be very disturbing. Like one of the things I found to be kind of disturbing is this man said he was an intelligence officer. Don't worry. We'll get to it. According to police, he fired at a chandelier before exchanging pew-pew with officers who pew-pew him in the legs and took him into custody. So he had to go to the hospital. He got, hit in the legs. He was held without bond on charges of second-degree attempted unalive, aggravated assault with a firearm, burglary with assault, criminal mischief, grand theft, and falsely pulling a fire alarm. During a brief court appearance via teleconference on Monday, ODDI kept talking over his attorney and reportedly admitted to pulling the fire alarm at the resort, drawing laughter from those present in the courtroom. Okay, that's probably why she was laughing then. I didn't see that part. So ODDI was like, yeah, I pulled the fire alarm, because he does say it in his interrogation video. He does say, I did this on purpose. I premeditated it. I did it alone. I did it by myself, and I did it to raise awareness. I need to send a message to the American people, and I need to send a message to Donald Trump. And he said that. He said, that's the reason I did it. Now, was that a wise move? Do I condone it? Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. It is a crime and you should not do that. But basically the judge probably laughing and saying, girl, like, sir, please stop admitting to crimes in the courtroom. But I think if you did a crime, you should admit to it. According to reporting by Herald, until about 5 years ago, ODDI had been a stripper and a corn actor. Okay, until about 5 years ago. Remember, when was this written? This was written in and published in 2018 by the Daily Mail. What would be 5 years before 2018? 5 years before 2018 would be 2013. Now, yesterday, we got this purported contract between Diddy and Jonathan ODDI, and this purported statements, interview from Jonathan ODDI's ex saying that it was in 2014 that Jonathan ODDI signed the $5 million settlement with Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. So before that ever came out, we have Daily Mail reporting that according to the Herald, until about 2013, ODDI was a stripper and a corn actor working for an adult website, Dancing Bear, which produces videos showing women performing acts on male entertainers wearing bear costumes. Girl, no. Okay, anyway, so he was doing that until 5 years ago. Okay, so 2013. He said he was a slave with Diddy. He said that he contracted, this is what he said. He contracted something from Diddy, which has 3 initials. Excuse me. No, it does not. Wrong thing. It's the HERPES. That's the one. Now, did he get that or not? I don't know. I have no idea. The man could be lying. Okay, I'm not saying he did, but he claims it. He did. He claims he contracted it from doing stuff with as the S slave for Diddy and Cassie. That's what he claims. And again, until yesterday, this was all conspiracy theory. And now people are wondering, was there more to the story? Was there more to the story than all 100% of it was conspiracy theory delusion? Was there possibly some truth? Was there some truth? What is this document that they're purporting to send around saying that it is an NDA or a settlement agreement or whatever? And it was. But this man, he stops in like 2013 working as that, maybe starts being a S slave the next year. Maybe that's why he no longer is working at bearbear.com or whatever. And then no longer, never again works in that industry, never again. Maybe because he got settlement, maybe not. Maybe not. But years go by, 5 years. And then police are notified of an active pew pew armed with a device about 1:30 in the morning on Friday. It was like a Thursday night, Friday morning. ODDI allegedly pulled a fire alarm to lure law enforcement into the golf course's lobby. He also draped an American flag over the lobby's counter. He is said to have entered the lobby and began shouting anti-Trump rhetoric and ranting about former President Barack Obama and rapper P. Diddy, before shooting into the ceiling and the chandeliers as officers rushed in. Quote, "We don't know what his intentions were in the long term, but we know what he was doing at the time. He was trying to engage our police officers in some kind of ambush type attack." No, I don't think he was trying to do that. I think it's very clear what he was trying to do. He may have been trying to do, unalive by Suey or something. Officers from the police departments confronted ODDI immediately, and then they were exchanging pew-pew with the man who was, quote, neutralized and taken into custody. There it is outside the hotel. He had an American flag that he did drape over the counter. That all was part of the investigation. We're going to take it from there and see what his real motives are and how far we get into that point. Then we'll have that discussion with the FBI to see how far this goes. Okay, if you're just joining, hi, hello. I'm reading contemporary reporting from 2018. I'm trying to see what was the narrative. I don't know that I followed this case at all in 2018, the 6 years ago. Almost 7 years. Will be 7 years ago this year. And so it's a long time ago. And I'm just kind of looking now back at some of these things. It's like, well, this is so interesting because at the time it probably was considered to be a little bit crazy. The man's in there talking about P. Diddy. But today it doesn't feel that crazy for him to be mentioning P. Diddy. I mean, he's in Florida. He's talking about FO activities. He said that Diddy would sit there and take care of his own self while he instructed Jonathan ODDI to do things to Cassie. He said that he heard a lot of business. He said, because Diddy would take all these calls. He would go on the TV, he would take conference calls, he'd be on the phone. He heard a lot of business. He said, because I would just be in the back room, like basically sounded like he was being held. But here it just seemed so crazy. And does it really seem that crazy today, this one specific one part about P. Diddy? I don't think so. We're not going to say that this is terrorism. We're not saying any of that, but we're not discounting anything at this point. ODDI left the scene on a gurney and was taken to Kendall Regional Medical Center and treated for multiple pew-pew wounds to his lower extremities. An officer sustained a broken wrist in the confrontation and was last reported in good condition at Baptist Hospital. ODDI was born in South Africa but raised in Argentina, where he attended college, studying the travel industry. That's interesting. Less than a year ago, he became an American citizen. Interesting. And has been living in a luxury apartment building in Doral, not far from the golf course. So he was originally born in South Africa. He was raised in Argentina. Isn't that where, what's his name? From that band, One Direction. Who is it? What's his name? I forget. So an officer broke his wrist. Okay, he's born in South Africa, raised in Argentina. He attended college in Argentina, and he studied the travel industry. But then in 2017, he became an American citizen, and he's been living in a luxury apartment ever since. According to his Facebook, he is a, quote, fitness consultant. His LinkedIn profile also says he's the founder of a business called Pegasus Minerals, which deals in gemstones. Okay, so he's a gemstone dealer, fitness consultant, corn star, stripper. He previously worked as a TV salesman focused on selling to hotels and restaurants. It gets weirder and weirder, y'all. A friend who regularly works out with ODDI, Luis David Gonzalez, was shocked when he showed up to his apartment Friday morning and found a group of reporters outside. He said he brought his friend over some breakfast of eggs and coffee because he was worried about him. He hadn't seen him since last week. However, the two have been in contact over the phone. Yesterday, he was feeling bad. His friend told the Sun Sentinel, he told me he was feeling bad. That's what he told me. But I never thought he was going to do something like that. Basically, it cannot discuss what's wrong with him. I'm just his friend. That's exactly it. It's a real friend. That's a real friend. The friend described ODDI as a dancer and said he lived alone with his dog, Bubbles. The Sun Sentinel reports that ODDI has a girlfriend who was out of the country at the time. And I think no, this isn't the same one. I don't think this is a different one. In social media posts viewed by the Miami Herald, ODDI appears to support liberal causes while also fawning over First Lady Melania Trump. So it's confusing, like, what are his politics, I guess? Hashtag FLOTUS rocks. She sets the example of mannerism. She counters Trump's aggressiveness. He wrote about one photo of Melania at the White House in another story showing a Time magazine cover on the Stormy Daniels scandal. The Stormy Daniels scandal is the Donald Trump. This is the one he got into litigation with over did he or did he not SA her. No. Hold on. Stormy Daniels wasn't SA. It was accepting hush money, hush money payments, alleged. I don't know. ODDI writes that reality is harsh. ODDI also criticizes the United States for giving $10.4 million every day to a certain you-know-who, I ain't even gonna say. They have free healthcare in college, but we don't because we can't afford it. His point is less clear in an Instagram post showing a right-wing meme about Colin Kaepernick. So he goes back and forth with his political leanings. The next thing I'm waiting for him to tell me is he's got multiple personalities. That's what I'm waiting for him to try to tell me. The meme compares Colin Kaepernick, who was widely criticized for, is it Kaepernick? Kneeling. Yeah. I remember this kneeling stuff. He would kneel. He was kneeling during when they would do the song, the national anthem, he would take a knee. It was very controversial. There was many sides. There's two sides. Everybody was mad. The meme implies that coffee is the real. Oh, wait, sorry. The meme compares Kaepernick, who was widely criticized for kneeling, with his former teammate, Glenn Coffey, who quit to be an Army Ranger. So it's comparing them. Yeah, here it is right here. They're comparing them. It's like one of those dad memes. Huge thank you. However, he seems to be in favor of it, according to a tweet he liked from Sean Diddy Combs in support of a protest. Oh my God. Y'all, he was liking Diddy's tweets. He probably wasn't liking them to show him support the protest. He probably was liking them to say, I'm still out here, Diddy. Like. Eric Trump said, thank you to, well, that's his daddy's hotel. I guess that makes sense. These officers did not hesitate 1 second to engage this individual that was actively pew in the lobby of the hotel. They risked their lives knowing that they had to get in there and save lives in the hotel. The Secret Service was on the scene, I'll have you know, and the FBI was on the way, and I'll have you know. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement will investigate the officer involved in the shooting, while Homeland Security and the FBI are expected to investigate the motive. Homeland Security and the FBI is who brought forth Diddy's case. Because I was asking, why did the Department of Homeland Security get involved? What does this have to do with them? The Tifa King. Wow. If Jonathan Odie ends up being a male S worker of Diddy's that they call to testify, I never expected him to do it. They should. if his allegations turn out to be credible. You know, I mean, they should at least check out. They should, I hope they did. Police were preparing a search warrant on his home on Friday morning, and his neighbors were evacuated as officers swept the area looking for any potential booby traps. Following the shooting, the president's second oldest son, Eric, tweeted thanks to law enforcement. The 800-acre Trump National Doral Golf Club, previously known as the Doral Resort and Spa, the Trump National, was purchased by the Trump Organization in 2012. Its signature course is the Blue Monster. The course was the former host of a PGA Tour event until last year. It was the site of the World Golf Championship. Why did Jonathan Odie choose that specific hotel? I want to know. Oh, he lives close to it, I think. So yeah, let me just run through some of the things that I found to be interesting about my rewatch. I went and rewatched his, what's it called? Interrogation. It is 2:11 p.m., everybody. 2:11 p.m. It is 11 minutes past the deadline for the Diddy docket updates. The judge gave them a polite deadline of 2 o'clock. So let me just hit up this Pacer docket real quick to see if we have any breaking news, what we can expect to come up tomorrow in the final day of jury selection. Supposedly tomorrow the jury will be selected. The only thing I could see stopping it is if there's like not 45 don't show up and only a few show up, and then a few will be on the jury left, and then they get rid of some, and then there's not going to be like for example, if only 20 jurors show up tomorrow, Diddy has 10 strikes, the feds get 6, they need 18, so that's just not enough. So that's the only thing I foresee becoming a problem, is if all the jurors don't show up, or if somehow there becomes more like for cause problems that were missed earlier. Hopefully not. But if that happens, then we would have to go, I think, into another round of jury selection. Let's see. So the judge today said, if you want me to deal with any more of your crap before tomorrow, on tomorrow's hearing, give me a heads up of what the heck it is. No, there's nothing new. That doesn't mean it wasn't that. Hold on. Shout out to Michelle for the $10 Cash App. No, there's nothing new filed, but that doesn't mean it wasn't filed. That just means it's not up yet. Oh, were people acting crazy in the chat? Look, listen, let me just make it clear. I am not reading the chat for the most part, and my mods are unpaid volunteers. Okay, these individuals are just doing this out of the goodness of their heart to protect the mothership and the mission. So they have full power to like hide people from the chat, and they do that routinely and often. I do not question them, do not ask about it. Okay, so they are allowed, empowered to get rid of you immediately at any moment's notice if you acting crazy like it looks like somebody just was. So shout out to mods. Blue Monster, Virginia Blue Butterfly Tattoo, Virginia Jeffrey, rest in peace. Okay, wait, where's my notes? Here they are. Okay. So interesting stuff came up in the reporting. I did just show y'all the 2018 Daily Mail article. There was a couple other things I did look at. I'm not going to pull them up yet because I want to kind of move through a little bit, but CBS, excuse me, CBS did do a report from outside Jonathan ODDI's house. They were outside and, you know, on their little microphones. They did some interviews with some people outside the house. The friend was there that had brought him the breakfast. It was so sad. The little friend was so cute and sweet. He was holding a little bag and he had the breakfast. He was like, I was worried about him. He just lives alone with his dog. He's like, in this report though, they talked to a few people that knew Jonathan ODDI, like before the incident at the Trump Hotel. And they say, you know, he didn't even express any political leanings in person. He didn't talk about politics. He just talked about, you know, like small talk stuff. He didn't have any criminal history. He only had traffic tickets before this Trump incident. He was transported to Kendall Regional Medical Center in good condition, but I mean, he had G-shot wounds to his legs, so I don't know how that's good condition. Now, we do have a few different iterations of this 2018 interrogation, and this is where I'm going to call in a favor. If anybody's in the chat who's just feeling like requesting FOIA documents, or who, you know, has like some type of way that's easier, you know, to get the full Jonathan ODDI interrogation. Because here's the problem I'm running into, guys. Here's the problem I'm running into. Every iteration of the Jonathan ODDI interrogation has massive, major, noticeable jump cuts. So it's not clear how much is cut out, what's cut out, if it's in the right order. And that's even to say that this stuff is real anyway. I do think it is real footage from interrogation room footage. I do. But if y'all have any way, any know-how, how to get the full uncut, actual full interrogation, because she's talking about the boule, then it clips right over to him talking about the something else. And it's like, obviously they cut stuff out. I want to see all of it. Okay. So I do want to make that as a kind of like a disclaimer, just to tell y'all, like, I can't attest to the authenticity of this interrogation footage. I don't even know if it's like fully accurate of a representation of what actually happened, because like I said, they could have moved stuff all out of order. I don't know. Okay. But to me, I do believe, and it does appear to be like accurate interrogation footage. Now there's different clips of it online. Some people's are like 12 minutes. Some people's are like 37 minutes. It's like just different clips of it circulating online. So this is just from one version of it. And I just watched just the first few, like maybe 10 minutes or something of it. So just in the first few minutes, y'all, I'm like having to pick my jaw up off the ground, turn it into a full-blown mouth breather at how excited and how shocked and like how a little bit even surprised at some of the stuff he was saying. Okay. Like right out the gate on this particular video, I will tell y'all the one I'm referring to so that you know. It is the Real World Police is the name of the YouTube channel. They have a version out. It's from they put it up 4 years ago. So like 2021 or something. Now there's a lot of redactions, jump cuts, jumps from him saying one thing straight into something else. He says a lot of stuff that you can't be proven. Remember though, this is years. This is a 6 or almost 7 years ago, 2018. So he was saying Diddy, Khaled, and Rick Ross are GAY, but they don't want anybody to know. Khaled is a Hamas supporter. That's what he said, DJ Khaled. He said, do you want to know how I know this? You know Sean Combs? He says, he's a part of the boule. And he says boule is like the Illuminati, but it's for, you know, the black people. And that's whenever he says, I have no problems with black people because I'm from Africa. I was born in Africa and you my brother, basically. And I don't know, y'all. I'm not taking up for this man in any way or saying it's okay. I'm just telling what he said. And then he's like, so I had a settlement with Sean, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs, and he's part of that agenda. That's why he's so famous. It's the contracts, these attorneys, it's these attorneys. And then he names attorneys. Now, in the Real World Police YouTube video version of this is around the 9-minute mark. He says, getting these contracts, it was this contracts with these attorneys. And guess who he names? Mark Garagos. And then he says, and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years. And then he worked for Hillary Rodham for 5. So I don't know if he meant Hillary Rodham, but he said Rodman. So is Hillary a Rodman? I don't know who that is. But then he goes on, he says, I had relations with Cassie and Sean. He called Diddy Sean. He would, you know, take care of himself. In other words, starts with an M, and tell me what to do. He then said he had like 15, I think he said encounters, but I guess he could have maybe said cameras. It's a little bit unintelligible. He said, I had like 15 encounters. Again, I'm going to do a whole video breakdown of this where I have the clips up and stuff. I just don't want to like let that video uncensored roam wild on a live stream. I think that's a little bit risky. But anyway, he's like, I heard a lot of business. Because I'd be in the back being the S slave and Diddy would be talking business in the front on the phones, on the TV, on the computers and all that. He said, I caught HERP, rhymes with perp. I came back, I sued him and I won, Diddy said. ODDI said. He said, I caught a transmittable disease. I sued and I won. Okay. ODDI apparently had a video recording of something. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, it's been interesting, I know, but this is where it's like, oh, wait, I forgot about that. Hold on, hold on, hold on. He said, as part of the, I guess, settlement, he had a video that he had to return back. And he said, and I did. They asked ODDI to, quote, turn in the video recording, and he did so, but they gave it back to him accidentally. So Jonathan ODDI ends up having $5 million settlement and a recording of himself. And he's supposed to turn it over, and he's naming Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes. And he's saying, I was supposed to give him back the video. I did, but then they gave it back to me again. And then he said, it's possible I can produce a copy of it in secret, but I'm not sure. He said, I'm not sure. Okay, so then that brings us to yesterday, where an NDA just surfaced, a purported NDA. I do have a photo of that. Let me pull that up. I took a picture of it earlier. Let me send it to myself so I can pull it up on. I have a picture of the NDA right here. I have to send it to myself so I can pull it up. It's always a technical difficulty. It's got to be something every time. Okay. Okay. Here is the purported, excuse me. Hold on. It's not going to let me share it. Okay. Okay. Here's the purported, there's an excerpt from a purported NDA or whatever it is. Look, confidential settlement agreement, July 9th, 2014. So remember, apparently in 2013 is when he stopped being a stripper and a corn actor. Okay. So here's the next year. I don't know if this is real. This could be fake. This could be forged. This could be purged. I don't know. Perjury. I don't know. But it is in the Daily Mail. They're saying they have exclusive reports. They're exclusively reporting yesterday. And it does look real. It looks like I would expect it to look. It's a confidential settlement agreement. It looks like it's 4 pages long. And it's probably 3 pages long. And it's just got 3 pages and then 1 signature page. There's Jonathan ODDI's signature, state of Florida, county of Miami-Dade, sworn to and subscribed before me on this non-dated. I don't even know if this is valid or whatever, because there's no date on it. Didn't print the notary's name either. Look, Sean Combs, is that his signature? I don't know. But yeah, Sean Combs, individually and on behalf of a bad boy worldwide, Sean John Enterprises and all affiliated entities and persons, Combs parties. So as you can see down here, the caption of this photo is from the Daily Mail online. Trump Hotel Pew Pew, extraordinary links to Diddy that prove viral conspiracy theory. I know her maiden name is Rodham, but I didn't know if he was trying to say that or not. Thank you so much, Christopher Jones, for the $1.99 super sticker. So yeah, so he said he did a settlement agreement with Diddy. And then yesterday, while he's still in jail, both of them are still in jail. Both of them are in jail awaiting their own separate individual trials. At the same time, we have this purported NDA coming out, our confidential settlement agreement. And now I can understand why it was called an NDA, because the NDA is usually attached into the settlement agreement if it's called a confidential one. You know what I mean? So it's both. I can see both. The ex-wife handed that over. Now, what I'm also wondering, y'all, and just a conspiracy theory, you know me, I like those. Do you remember how the CNN footage first came out through being reported on CNN and having an exclusive? And it was Cassie getting chased down the hall. And then it ended up being the star evidence of the whole thing. And a lot of people saw it because they said they saw it when they were sitting in there in the jury selection. They said they saw it. So a lot of people did see it. And now I'm wondering, and then now we know that a version of that footage is going to be used at trial, more like a security cam version and a iPhone version. But is this Daily Mail putting out this confidential settlement agreement in the same way that kind of like that CNN footage was used? Like, is this going to end up being some type of evidence at trial? Is this kind of like a predictive programming to get Jonathan Oddie back on everybody's mind? Is this why Jonathan Oddie hasn't been showing up? He has been showing up, but hasn't always been showing up. And also they've been kicking down his trial down the road, down the line over and over and putting things off and guilty by the not guilty by reason of this, that, the other. I mean, he said in his interrogation footage that he was going to be trying to give him the tape. He's like, I'll turn over the tape. It's possible if I can get it. I don't know. Let me see what else I said here. He said some other stuff. He said, how does this involve Donald Trump? The Mercedes family. He said, all of these people are all related to the royals. They're all related to the royal. I told y'all they all related. It's not a secret. Don't y'all remember that little girl did that school project and she found out every president was related? It's like not a secret. It's not a secret. It's not up for debate. They really are like mostly, maybe not all of them, but mostly they are all related. Okay. So then he said, Michael Jackson did not organically owe to the D. It was in fact done to him. The reason was because they like to keep royalties. They like to keep the royalties and the music. And Michael Jackson alone, he said back in 2017, he was like last year, but remember, this is the 2018 interrogation. Jonathan Oddie said in his interrogation in 2018, officer, last year alone, do you know that Michael Jackson made $869 million in royalties in just 2017 alone? Now, I did not fact check that. I'm not saying that's true. I don't have a problem believing it. But I mean, like I could be in a remote village in India and people knows who Michael Jackson is. Like the man has power still. Now Jonathan Oddie said in this interrogation, not interview, that the Kenny Mercedes, I don't even know who that is, in New York represents most royalties. And he's been promoting a hate agenda against Trump so that people hate him. And it's because Trump is very alpha. He likes money and women. And that Stormy Daniels stuff is coming to the surface because they actually want him out of the government. But that can't happen because Donald Trump is apparently too smart. Now, your guess is as good as mine why he's saying all this, because he did seem to have issues with Donald Trump. He was calling him a traitor. So I don't know like which one of the personalities is coming out on this one, but he does go back and forth, which does hurt his credibility, Jonathan Oddie. But he's talking good about Trump. He's saying he's so smart and intelligent and he's similar to my type of intelligence. And he's not understanding that Hillary Clinton is his cousin. He said Hillary Clinton is Donald Trump's cousin and Obama has a different plan. Obama and Hillary have a different plan for Trump. And I have to tell Trump about it. So taking that into consideration, I can see why they might have thought maybe some screws were loose. That was just so outlandish and outrageous. However, in the context of kind of like what we know now, I don't know that it would be seen as the same. And in fact, and indeed, now we have even more kind of like seemingly backing up evidence, documentation, receipts, whatever you want to call it. And it seems like maybe at least some of this stuff maybe was actually exactly on point and true. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. He also said Obama is a CIA agent. This stuff was really conspiracy theory alert, y'all. I'm not saying this. I'm not even going to say the full name of the person. Maybe I'll do it on members only or something. But like a certain alleged terrorist, if you know what I mean, never existed, says Jonathan Oddie. He said this was something created by the CIA. It was just fake. It was fake. And really what it was Barack Obama was dressing up in a cave, talking SHIT and looking like an ARAB. I'm just telling you what he said. I'm quoting him. And then they did something to the Twin Towers. Okay. I'm not going to get into too much more details. Okay. But that was something that he did say there. And he says, I'm here to expose to the American public for the crimes committed on September 11, 2001. So, I mean, that's something that came up. I just found that interesting. Just wanted to note that. He said the settlement that he signed put him in a box because he couldn't talk or he would be sued. But then as soon as he settled, he started being followed. Garagos had the FBI follow him, Jonathan Oddie said. Who is Garagos? He's the one that just got fussed at in the Diddy case because he did not file a notice of appearance, but he's helping Diddy pick a jury. He's going on Two Angry Men, his podcast with lead Hollywood propagandist Harvey Levin, and talking about the Diddy case, calling the prosecutors a six-pack of white women and everything else. He just got in all kinds of trouble. Pretty much admonished a little bit, little admonishment. Yes, he did. But this sounds exactly like what we read from Charlene Latham. Do you remember that case from 2020 none of us were allowed to talk about on anywhere? And in your videos would get took down. It was like she sued Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Jay-Z, and a whole list of other people. Charlene Latham. And her lawsuit similarly was thrown out because it was considered to be called frivolous. Again, I made a video about this lawsuit and it got deleted. I had to make a new video about it. It's like very hard to keep content up about this lawsuit. Charlene Latham versus the 19 whatever trust. It was like she was suing Jeffrey Epstein, and what the facts that she presented in the case, what she claimed. Again, people, you even talk about the case, you're a conspiracy theorist in 2020. This is 5 years ago. But Charlene Latham had a very similar set of facts that she presented forward in this so-called frivolous lawsuit. She said when she was young, her family settled some type of SA lawsuit allegations with these powerful people. She named all the defendants, whatever. She said, but after they took the settlement money, Les Wexner was somehow financing an operation to re-victimize these people. So like, because they took a settlement from them, now that's why they're getting targeted, because they had the audacity to sue these victims, these alleged victims. Again, this was dismissed as frivolous. I'm not saying it happened. I'm just saying I'm recognizing similar patterns. She said that her family was stalked and re-kidnapped over and over again and brought in to do these bizarre sex encounters. Should I pull that up? Put Charlene in the chat if I should pull that up, if you're interested. If enough people put Charlene in the chat, I'll pull it up. I feel like I'm just rambling right now. If y'all are interested in this, I'll pull it up. But thank you so much, Pocahontas. Yes. Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? You know what I like from that song? What lyric I like? You can own the earth until all you own is earth and still. Wait. You can own the earth and still all you'll own is earth and until. It's so hard to say. You can own the earth and still all you'll own is earth until you can. Yeah, I love that song. Thank you for the 199 super chat. What else? Y'all are saying Charlene. Okay, let me see. All the colors. Okay, I'm gonna find it. No, every time I film a BJ Investigates, I'm like, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? I can't even start without doing it. I'm looking for Charlene Latham. Don't worry, y'all. Latham. Because I want to actually compare these I want to compare these allegations. Well, I mean, girl, if I could find it. Let's see. Name. Let's go by 2020. No. Maybe I won't be able to do that one if I can't find it. Maybe it's in the Beyonce. Huh. Maybe I won't. Let's see. I'll try one more thing. I never can find that stupid thing when I need it. Well, is it on? Is it online? The Charlene Latham PDF? Latham versus the I think it's 1953 Trust PDF. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. I can show y'all what it says. They have it online. Okay. So here's that lawsuit. Just telling you about this Charlene Latham. This was filed in 2020, as you can see, August 21st. This has been dismissed. I'm going to keep saying it because you know they like to put words in my mouth, pretend I said stuff I didn't freaking say. Okay, so I'm not saying this is real. I'm not saying any of this is true. I'm just telling you it is a lawsuit that was filed and it has been dismissed. Okay, look at all the people she sued. The 1953 Trust, Harvey Weinstein, Sean Carter, that's Jay-Z. The Weinstein Corporation, Miramax, which was owned by Disney. She sued Disney, Def Jam, Rock Nation, Universal Music Group, Beyonce, Kanye, Terrence Thornton, Black Cube Limited. Who was Jonathan Oddie saying? Never mind. Vivendi SA, don't know what that is. Dwayne Carter. Please tell me that's not Lil Wayne. I hope not. Let's see. Young Money Entertainment, David Boys, R. Kelly, Sprint, Viacom, CBS, Virgil Abloh, Qatar Investment Authority, Ghislaine Maxwell, Parkwood Entertainment, I think that's Beyonce's, City of New York, Sir Philip Green, Sony Entertainment, John Doe's 1 through 100, again, corporations, Doe's 1 through 100. Let's get to the facts section. Okay. I'm not going to read every single word. This is a publicly filed document. I just Googled Latham versus 1953 Trust PDF, and this is the first thing that came up. Over the course of decades, look at this. Some Doe defendants' identities are not revealed at the time of the filing of this statement to protect or preserve any criminal investigation occurring that may be jeopardized or undermined if the plaintiffs reveal certain Doe defendants. Those people she's suing. She named all these other people. It says over the course of decades, the defendants established a lucrative but sociopathic criminal enterprise where the defendants, that's all those people we just read, engaged in decades of H trafficking, S assaults, and various abuses, including financial and economic exploitation, drugging for abduction, taking plaintiffs and plaintiffs John and Jane Doe 1 through 10 hostage. The defendants engaged in this criminal and sociopathic conduct as a form of specific criminal intention designed as harassment, extortion, physical torture, psychological torment, and revenge targeting. Targeting Plaintiff 3 for her refusal to sell her child. When Plaintiff 3 refused to sell or allow the defendants in any capacity to abuse or financially exploit her or any of her other children and grandchildren at any time. So this is a family, okay? This is a family. This is a grandparent, parent, and children generation, 3 generations of people that are making these allegations. Now, it all was filed by Charlene Latham, so I don't know. It could be true, could be not true, but that's what she's alleging. The defendants began targeting the family for economic abuses and financial exploitation that not only consisted of rug plus the ing of children of plaintiffs 2 and 3. So these are grandchildren level victims at this point. Alleged, targeting and rugging these children for ST, hostage taking, and related abuse, but also began exploiting the plaintiffs for thefts of trade secrets. And this was where I started to notice a pattern. Remember, if you remember, put a R in the chat, a big R or something, R exclamation point or exclamation something. But I talked about this before, and it was like, I kind of find it strange that like half the lawsuits against Diddy are people, the frivolous ones, right? The crazy ones that just get immediately dismissed. Diddy never has to show up to court or anything. Like half of them are people saying that he stole their artistry, stole their intellectual property, stole their trademark, used their lyrics, used their notebooks, used their words, stole their songs. It's like a lot of trademark allegations. And it's like these crazy, so-called crazy, dismissed lawsuits. He not only took these children, again, this is allegations. And again, until like even kind of still, if you talk about this lawsuit, you're called a conspiracy theorist because it was dismissed. It was dismissed as frivolous. I'm not saying it happened. I have to keep making these disclaimers because you know how they do. And it's true. I really do mean it. I don't know that this happened. I have no way to know. But this woman is saying that they targeted her grandparent, her parents generation, her and her kids. It's like a bunch of people. And she said they began targeting her for economic abuses and financial exploitation, not only by rugging the children for ST and to take them as hostages and related abuse, but also began exploiting the plaintiffs for thefts of trade secrets, intellectual property, and tortious interference in the plaintiff's career and economic opportunities. I mean, that's happening to me right now. Someone's trying to steal my trademark right now. So I know that happens. Like, that's the thing. These evil freaks keep targeting me, abusing me, stalking me, and harassing me, but they don't realize they're just giving me proof of so much of this stuff that I would probably call a conspiracy theory. But it's like, no, it happened. It definitely happens. How long have y'all, I have been that surprise witness and going by that for a very long time. And it is like psychological torment. It's to make you feel like you're going crazy, but I have a very firm grasp on reality. I have a very firm grasp on reality, and the Lord has a very firm grasp of me. Okay. So nobody's going to be getting nothing from me. All right. But it does happen. I've seen it. I'm personally a victim of it. Anyway, paragraph 8, this extensive scheme of the defendants was initiated by J. Epstein, the decedent represented throughout this action by his estate. So she's suing his estate. It's called the 1953 Trust. It was initiated by Jeffrey Epstein as, quote, revenge against Plaintiff 3. Plaintiff 3 agreed to what? To what? This is why I wanted to show y'all this. Look at paragraph 9. Plaintiff 3 agreed. So somebody that's suing in this lawsuit, that's now been dismissed as frivolous. But somebody suing agreed to an out-of-court multi-million-dollar monetary settlement in the late 80s, early 90s to avoid a public criminal and civil prosecution for Epstein's abuse of several of the plaintiff's children. Do y'all see this? Okay, I agreed to an out-of-court settlement, she says, plaintiff 3, for something that happened in the 80s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. The reason that we did the multi-million-dollar settlement was to avoid a public criminal and civil prosecution for Jeffrey Epstein's alleged abuse of children. Is this true? I do not know. I was not there, and it's been dismissed, okay? Plaintiffs 2 and 3 share 6 children together, 3 sons, 3 daughters, and approximately 14 grandchildren. Okay, so this is the 3 generations of people that this woman's alleging is getting abused. After misappropriating, this is what I was trying to tell y'all about the Les Wexner stuff. After misappropriating Les Wexner's money to pay the settlement. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein, one of his clients was Les Wexner. He took Les Wexner's money. This is the allegation, and he paid off these people. But then as a result, now he owes money. So he has to devise a scheme of revenge and recovery of the money by targeting the plaintiffs for drugging and trafficking the children for continued abuse at his various ORGIES, aka maybe freak-offs, around the world, where Epstein was paid large sums by elite attendees of the salacious events and then used the money from abusing the plaintiffs to repay his debt to Wexner. So it's like a whole money laundering conspiracy, she's trying to say, because Jeffrey Epstein took some money, misappropriated, basically she's saying stole money from Les Wexner to pay the settlement off. She's like, here, take this multi-million dollars. But then as a result, they would then track down these kids, bring them to FOs. This is the allegation. I'm not saying it's true. Bring them to FOs, rugged, abuse, all that. And they would still be doing it, even though they already had gotten a settlement for this already out of court. So can you see how this kind of reminds me of the stuff that Jonathan ODDI was bringing up? She goes on, she says, the decades of abuse and assaults were equally to benefit entertainment, to the benefit, entertainment, and economic enrichment of the corporations, as well as facilitated in whatever capacities by the corporations, their managers and personnel, and by any person named as defendant. This action in the U.S. Southern District of New York, which is where Diddy is being tried, it's because that is where defendants' conspiracies to traffic and exploit for the criminal intent targeting plaintiff 1 occurred when she was a minor child belonging to and in the custody of plaintiffs 2 and 3. Over the course of 30 years, since at least 1988 or 89, the defendants conspired to unlawfully surveil, drug, and abduct for assault, trafficking, and other exploitative abuse. Plaintiff 1 around the world, but specifically throughout the Southern District of New York. This action is entered into the Southern District of New York as it is the one jurisdiction where the defendants abducted plaintiff at approximately age 13 to assault and exploit sexually for financial gain. The defendants Harvey Weinstein, Jay-Z, Jeffrey Epstein, represented in this action as the 1953 Trust, conspired together. Okay, listen to this allegation. Weinstein, Epstein, and Jay-Z, quote, conspired together and with other defendants to illegally transact a purchase agreement, giving them ownership of plaintiff number 1 while she was a minor child residing in the state of Illinois at approximately 5 or 6 years old, in the custody of her parents, plaintiffs 2 and 3. This was with the intent of committing criminal acts against the plaintiff as a child and throughout the course of her entire adult life. And again, even today, to bring this up is to be a conspiracy theorist, to even say there's any credibility to it. I'm not saying there is any credibility to it, but what I am saying is it does appear to track similarly to some of Jonathan ODDI's allegations. And when Jonathan ODDI made his allegations before, I mean, all of them were considered crazy. So now that we are in the land where at least one of them might not be that crazy, which is that he was paid a settlement to not discuss his contracting and intransmittable or a transmutable disease or transmittable disease, whatever it's called, from these FOs. I mean, that doesn't sound that crazy. Now, does it mean that I'm saying it definitely happened? No, of course not. But it doesn't sound that crazy to me. Yeah, well, that sucks for them, Sheena, because the magic don't work on God's favorite. It don't work on me. Magic is for is tricks. That's trickery and it's like a party trick. That's what that is to the God I serve. The God they serve serves the God I serve. So magic and voodoo don't work on me. I'm so sorry. I'm not messing with it. I don't want none of it, but I'm leaving that alone and it leaves me alone. Okay, what other things do I have on this Jonathan ODDI? There was more things that I found to be very interesting. Let me pull that up. No, Santeria, no, I leave that alone too. I'll leave it alone. It leaves me alone. I do not consent. And anything that tries to come to me, I got like a big disco ball type of thing up around me. So it bounces back off and it comes back at the person like 3 to 10 times worse. It happens every time. It's like, unanimously happens every single time. It doesn't work. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. So anybody trying, I'm letting you know, you're going to get it 5 to 10, 3 to 10 times it's coming back. It's not even up to me. I'm surrounded. I'm protected. Sorry about it. Can't help you. Thank you, Ms. Molly. Shout out to you becoming member. What else for Jonathan ODDI? Okay, so he also talks about the hip hop agenda. You want to hear about the hip hop agenda? Oh. So this is interesting. And Jonathan ODDI said that I'm not an occultist. No, I'm not. That's what I just now said. I am not. So take it up with whatever demons you're serving over there, girl. Sorry about it. Also, can someone just hide that from channel? Because I don't like people that don't know how to fucking act on my channel. So thank you. Yeah, it's not real. They think it's real, which gives it power. And that's something really interesting. Okay, so he said that everybody's got an agenda. Okay, Jonathan ODDI said everybody's got an agenda. He said, do you want to hear about the Ciroc agenda? That's Diddy's liquor brand. He said the Ciroc agenda is to promote the life ideology of binge drinking and a drug use on yachts. That's the Ciroc agenda, Jonathan ODDI said in his interrogation. He also said hip hop agenda. He said that was laid out by Obama during his last presidency, but the hip hop agenda, that's been laid out since at least, I think, probably like the mid 80s, like early 90s, because of the private prisons and stuff. Remember the secret meeting that changed hip hop forever, changed the rap world forever, whatever. Then they said the whole thing with Tupac was staged and fake. He's not dead. He lives in Cuba. I'm not saying I believe this, y'all, and I'm not saying you should believe it either. I'm just telling you what was said and what I wrote down as notes that I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's really the qualification for me saying it is like, that's interesting that he said that. I'm not saying it happened or it's true. But he said, yeah, they did that whole thing with the unaliving Tupac thing just to like get fame and record sales. He said, quote, that's how they do it. Like it has to be something tragic. It has to be something someone died or something, and then they get fame and record sales. That's how they do it. And that would, add up to like why the first few incidents of Diddy's career were all these like tragedies where people were becoming unalive. But this man said, don't worry about Tupac because he is not unalive. He is in Cuba. I mean, please. He then talks about the hip hop agenda and how they have been working to transport and traffic drugs. He said that private jets are how the drugs gets in and out of the country. High grade MDMA, cocaine. He said liquid cane. The bottles, it's in bottles, and then they move it. And he's like, I drank it myself with Diddy and Cassie, and Diddy calls it Chi-Chi. Then he said that the Trump assassination agenda was alive and well because it was in the Illuminati play game, the card game. I don't know if anybody has the card game. Y'all check and see if there's a Trump assassination in it. But this was 2018, and then there was an actual attempted one of those in like 2024, 2023. Then he said the reason for his attack was he wanted to transmit a statement to the American people and to Donald Trump. Jonathan Oddie said that we're not taking any more corruption, and the CIA want to do the same thing to Trump they did to JFK. That's what Jonathan Oddie said. All this stuff went right over my head the last time I watched it. It was kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, maybe some of the stuff he's saying maybe is true, but now some of this I'm like, oh, wait a sec. Not all of it, please, y'all. Not all of it. He said, why are they doing this? Because they want the United States to fail. They trying to set Trump up to fail because they want the United States to fail. Now, what I think is so weird, again, is that he doesn't have a consistent perspective on Donald Trump, because sometimes he's saying Donald Trump's a traitor. Sometimes he's saying Donald Trump's so smart, he likes him so much. And sometimes he's like, he's a traitor and he's doing everything everybody else is doing. And it's like, I don't know what this man is, makes him not credible to me. But he's saying, Jonathan Oddie said, I'm gonna do a whole video on this. It's gonna be more concise and to the point. I'm just kind of doing a live stream right now because I want to catch up on what we were going to be seeing at trial tomorrow. But now we're talking about Jonathan Oddie and things that I remember from his interrogation. I was just watching it earlier today. I'm not finished. I was just watching some of the clips of it. But he said the CIA wants to do the same thing to Donald Trump as they did to JFK, which was presumably assassinate him. I'm not saying that happened. I'm saying what Jonathan Oddie said in his interrogation. And he's like, why? Why would the CIA want to do that? Well, it's because they want can you imagine having an infiltrated organization that's like the most powerful one in the country, but it actually wants the country to fail? He said they already created a state of chaos and confusion, and Donald Trump was against their agenda and he won the presidency. But Trump at that point in 2018 still hadn't kicked out the corruption from the system because he would rather make money and he cared more about making money. Then he starts talking about the Illuminati. Okay. Again, y'all, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just telling you what my notes say. He said Illuminati means illuminated, and they do satanic ritual abuse, but he does not define what that means and what it is. He says, oh yeah, actually he does. He goes, he didn't get into specifics, but he's like, oh, he does. Oh, I guess I blocked this out. Maybe the MK Ultra worked on me too, girl. So he says they do satanic ritual abuse, which is, quote, basically CIA mind programming techniques. And they do it, quote, to their own family and kids, and they bond that way. This is what Jonathan Oddie said in his interrogation. Again, the last time I watched this, that went right over my head. I was just kind of like, okay, all right, okay. He said this is how they bond. They do it with their family and their kids. SUL PDF file, Leah, animal harming, killing. He said blood sacrifices. And then he said, and it all happens in the Bohemian Grove, and the Bushes go there, and George Sr. and George Jr. are on the same agenda. And they're also cousins with the Clintons. And so is Donald Trump, he said. And so at this point, again, I can see why at the time people would hear him saying this stuff and just be like, chill out. What? Conservatorship or jail? I could see them saying. He said there's direct correlation of presidents being bonded through family ties. And it all goes back to the same place, Jonathan Oddie said. It goes back to the same place, the royal family in England. Yeah, I know y'all been hearing me call them inbred freaks for 2-3 years. Okay, so that part, I mean, I don't know if everybody is all related to that one family. I don't think that. But like, I do think a lot of them are related, and especially the ones that still calling themselves royals, they are, I think, related to they're their own cousins, their own mothers, their own brothers, sister, cousins, and stuff. Like, I think still to this day. Anyway, Jonathan Oddie says that's why they simple-minded, though. It's ironic because they're doing this because they think they're the master superior race, but then they just keep doing relations with their own cousins, and now they're simple. He said simple-minded. He said because they only breed with their own family. And then he said Donald Trump is one of them, but he turned his back because he thinks they're debauched. And he was trying to negotiate a peaceful way out, but they have an agenda to unalive him. Again, y'all, I'm not saying I believe this. I'm not saying it's true. Okay. This is what Jonathan Oddie was saying in his interrogation from 2018. I just revisiting some things. I watched a few minutes. We're almost actually done on that part, but I watched a few minutes of it and I took some notes down because some of the stuff was like, what? He said this? Like, what is this? He kept mentioning this Illuminati card game, which I have heard of before, but y'all, I mean, that could be a hoax too. Cause like, it does look like it's old, but like I was not ever able to independently verify that that game existed before pretty recently. Now, some people say, well, I had the game in the 90s and stuff. Well, that's good. Go get them to verify. Cause I can't. But the man said that the card game is a mental pre-program to predispose people to something happening and then you accept it. And so, for example, that game had Trump on Alive in it, and it had the Twin Towers in it, etc. He said a few other examples, but I didn't write them down. There is an investigation report of it. They did an investigation for a few reasons. One, because it was, the criminal investigation. But there was also an investigation because one of the police officers, maybe more of the police officers, a few of them had to use weapons, discharge weapons. And so they always have to have these reports done. So there's the report. It's public. It's out online. And then, yeah, we already looked at the video of Jonathan Oddie in court that day where he was like trying to just say like, yeah, I did it. And they muted his microphone. I am going to the Pacer right now because I want to see if any new documents have been filed in Diddy's case. About 1 hour ago was a deadline. The judge had told both sides, the prosecution and the defense, he wanted to see any remaining arguments or any remaining issues that have to be sorted out. He wants to see it by 2:00 today on his desk. Because tomorrow's the last day, they're really going to have pre-trial to do it. Monday, we're getting right in. Jurors are swearing in, and we're going straight down opening statement lane. Okay. So I'm looking up the docket now to see if anything came through as far as that deadline. An hour ago, it was put up. Not put up. An hour ago, it passed. It's 57 minutes ago. Let's see. No, nothing new. Thanks so much, Jamie, for the $2 super chat. Oh, what did you? That was supposed to say Audi. Thanks so much for that. Sounds to me like Audi is literally playing the self-preservation duck and dodge game to keep both sides of the fence on their toes. Okay, wow. I mean, it could be that. That could be. I mean, I am not. I won't be surprised to find out the man doesn't always remember what other of his personalities say, if you know what I am talking about. But yes, that could be as well. It could be playing a brilliant game. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Blair Edwards says, I just keep wondering why he powed the hotel up. Was it to get in direct contact with somebody who could help him stay alive? Adi said Obama. Excuse me. Lisa said, Adi said Obama played a big role in transporting rugs and hip hop. The cop said Adi was trying to get arrested when he went to the Doral. Did he need their security? T says, why are some cases televised, but then others have very limited access? It's up to each court. And there's no blanket rule. On Vacation said Blair, yes, to get high police force attention, because he did demand to speak with the Secret Service. He didn't trust local authorities. He said they were all corrupt. I'm definitely looking forward to going back to reading and looking to watching and looking at that interrogation again. I like I said, I have looked through the first maybe 8 to 10 minutes on one version of it. I'm going to watch a few different versions because some of these have very dramatic jump cuts. Stuff is missing out of these videos. I just want to see the full thing. I did say, somebody said, Jedi Mind Trek said, please don't tell me the Air Force One was used for the transportation of DRUGS. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Don't y'all remember when they found the you know what in the White House and then nobody knew who it was from or whatever all of that was about? It was probably Hunter Biden's, they said, but I don't know. Federal courts never televised. Exactly, Jay. They just don't. Different rules in different courts. Adi said he's very intelligent like Trump. He knew exactly what he was doing that day. It seems this way, Red Bunny. Yep. He was looking for a way to tell on Diddy, but not break his NDA. Yeah, and he's like, Trump's smart like me. But he's their cousin too. Maybe like letting him know like he knew something on them. I don't know if he is cousins with them, y'all. That would be crazy. That would be a surprise to me. Sheena, thank you so much for the 1999 a super chat. Thank you for all your great explanations and honesty always. Thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. Sheena, appreciate that. Y'all have been really very stressed out about money. So thank you so much for the super chats and the supporting the merch. Sobering Stories explain the deck cards in his video, a very oddie story, how the Diddy case began. Love you, mean it. Ooh, I'll look into that, Annie. Sobering Stories, a very oddie story, how the Diddy case began. Love that. We'll definitely look into that. Thanks so much. Just a reminder to watch some. Yeah, let's watch the extremely descriptive language in chat. If you keep doing it, unfortunately, you might be hidden, you might be timed out, you might be removed. I don't know what could happen. The mods are in charge in here. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Do you remember when the military was used to transport drugs into the US by President Reagan? Yes. I was reading about this on the Whitney Webb story. I keep telling y'all to read it. I'm going to start putting it in my chats. Y'all got to read it. One Nation Under Blackmail. I did not know about this. No, I did not. EHC Bunny, but I learned about it very recently, and it was from Whitney Webb. One Nation, one label under blackmail. Sobering Stories is awesome. It sounds familiar. I'm not familiar with the dancing bear theory. No, never heard of that, J-Mac. What's that? The same thing as dancing bear. Is it meaning the dancing bear is a HT? I mean, I had that theory in my mind, in the back of my mind. Gary Webb exposed it. No. Is it the dancing bear theory that like these corn production companies are actually HT organizations? Because I've had that theory before. Just, it's just a theory. I have no facts. Oh, Obama legitimately is 10th cousins with the Bushes. You can actually Google that. Okay. I believe you. It's a strip club. Yeah, but they were saying in that article that we were just reading that he would be recorded doing S acts on people. And then it was like he was a corn star and stripper, not just stripper. Dancing bear in Florida where he danced. All but one president is related to King John. Who's the one? I would say that one's my cousin. I'm related to that one. Is it Jimmy Carter? Got him. No, he's related to Barry Gordy. He's probably all in it. My father is a colonel in the army, and under Bush, he found out people in his unit were flying back our UGGs and risked his life to rat him out. It did nothing. Nothing happened because the government knew. Oh, Maggie. Maggie said her dad was in the army under Bush, and he found out people in his unit were flying rugs. He was a colonel, like as high up. He risked his life to rat people out, and then they did nothing happened. Interesting. He said Dancing Bear was also S to the court. Oh, Trump's not related? Well, Jonathan Oddie said he is related to them too. I don't know. I didn't run the DNA we got to get Mari in on here. I used to want to be the president, y'all. I don't. I would say no. The sobering Audie video. George Bush, dad, and Obama maternal grandmother are first and second cousins. See, this is too much. This is too much. I'm just so sorry. It's just too much. Yeah. Okay. Let me look one more time at this and see if they have any new filings. It could be stuff got filed and it just hasn't like hit the docket for the public yet. No, nothing. All right. Well, it's been over 2 hours. I'm getting tired. I'm hungry. I want to go eat a snack, and I'll talk to y'all later. I'll see you tomorrow bright and early We're going to be finalizing the Diddy jury tomorrow. That is expected. Hopefully enough of them shows up. Go support Inner City Press if you can. Go support the legal fund linked down below if you can. And yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation. Neither are opinions. Neither are speculations. Girl, love you. Okay, bye.